Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome back to Rennie, Unhinged. Now, I just got some breaking news. This is a re-record, and I'm gonna change what I was gonna originally talk about today, and you get an exclusive look because I literally found this information out like a minute and a half ago, max. But welcome back to Rennie Unhinged. This is gonna be episode 9. I'm in high definition now. My good camera works, so that's pretty sick. I got back behind the Mega Mic, got a decent camera going here. I'm living the life, baby. I've made it. Time to get another 50 views. Let's go. But it's good to be back. It's been about a week since I posted. Since then, March Madness has been progressing right along. As I said, I don't have a bracket. I've just been watching. Baylor's in the Final Four, playing against U of H tomorrow. Tomorrow being Holy Saturday. Today is Good Friday. And the championship will be on Monday. And we will see what will happen if we will be there. And if it will indeed be Baylor versus Gonzaga. A game that was actually supposed to happen earlier this year in, I believe, December. But COVID cases kept that from taking place. So we have nothing to base it on if Gonzaga plays Baylor. Gonzaga's played teams like West Virginia and Kansas, beat West Virginia by, I think, 7, beat Kansas by 12. Teams that we've played, teams that we've beaten, teams that got annihilated in March Madness. Syracuse, kicked the crap out of West Virginia. I think it was like Boehm, something like that. Bohemi or something like that. Oh, whatever. A white guy that can shoot. What else is new? Opening day was on Thursday for the Major League Baseball. Still deciding whether I want to follow the Indians or not this season. They still have the Indians, nickname, but this will probably be the last year that they do. And I don't know. It all depends. I might just stay a little bit behind and see. Hey, look, we made the playoffs. All right, let's see if they do anything. Because you actually have a horse in the race at that point. Breaking news: Cavaliers still suck. In case you didn't know. Got rid of Andre Drummond for literally nothing. Paid him to leave the team and to buy out, and then he signs with the Lakers. So Kobe Altman doing work. Just an absolute fantastic job there. God. What is with my teams and horrible GMs? The Packers haven't signed anybody in free agency. Not one. Not one new person. Re-signed some people, including Kevin King. If you don't know who Kevin King is, go watch episode 2. I don't know who's worse. I don't know if Kobe Altman's worse. It's like after he made the new look Cavs, he was hailed as this great hero, and since then it's just been a slow decline in what he's been able to do for this team. It's like I have high hopes. Like it's a good young core. Then there's Kevin Love. It's a good young core, and there's still not. Something's not clicking. And I don't think it's JB. I think you need a couple more pieces. And then the Packers are still, and all of the offseason stuff that's happened, the Packers are still in contention. They're one of the top 5 teams in the league, even after all of these other these moves by a lot of teams. And they haven't signed anybody new. It's not that they couldn't use it. They could use another corner. They could use another receiver, another veteran receiver. Re-signed Aaron Jones, which makes A.J. Dillon a backup for another 4 years. So that was a fantastic investment with our second pick. The good thing is now Jordan Love will officially be the backup and not a bench warmer third string like he was last year. So I guess he's moving up the depth chart because Tim Boyle is not on the team anymore. God. But that's not what has me pissed off right now. I mean, that's reason to be pissed off. But that's not what has me pissed off right now. I want to go back to what I just mentioned. Is that Major League Baseball started yesterday. This is the second day of the season, and the MLB has already announced that they will be pulling the All-Star Game from Atlanta, Georgia, because of the new voting bill that was passed by the Georgia State Legislature. For those of you who don't know, Georgia wrote and signed a bill into law confirming and requiring voter ID and basically making voting more of a harder process, which I personally agree with. I think that voting is the most sacred right that an American holds. Like one of the most sacred rights that Americans hold, and it should be protected. It should not be an easy process. That's why I don't think citizenship should be an easy process either. We want the best of the best here and participating in our system. At least that's what I think. And I don't think there's anything wrong with making voting harder on everybody. And if making it harder literally just means showing an ID, why is that so hard? Everyone carries an ID. It doesn't even need to be a driver's license. You can get one at any DMV anywhere. Like, it's very easy to obtain. I have my driver's license. That works out fine. You have to show an ID to board a plane. You have to show an ID to, as I said, drive. You have to show an ID to take a library book. I had to show an ID when I bought my car. Like, an ID is used for everything. Yet somehow, some way, as soon as you say that ID is required for applying for an absentee ballot or voting in person, what is the counter always? It's racist. It's racist to require voters to show an ID. It's oppressive to minorities. Do you understand how racist it is to say that minorities are incapable of showing an ID at the polls? Think about that for a second. I just gave a speech on this, like, for my speech class, like, 2 weeks ago. Like, do you understand how racist it is to assume that minorities are incapable of showing an ID to vote or incapable of possessing an ID? Because if they were, or the people that are pushing this, and I'll take a wild guess that it is the left, Schumer, Pelosi, I had a sudden cough there. Sorry. AOC, oh my gosh. Excuse me. If those pushing this narrative thought that they were capable, why would it be oppressive? If you have your ID on you everywhere you go, why is it now oppressive to show it at the polls? Like, you had to drive to the poll, most likely. And you had needed your ID to drive to the poll. Yet somehow it's voter suppression showing it when you get to the poll. North Carolina doesn't require voter ID, and my parents found that out. The first time they voted in North Carolina, my dad was pissed off. He came back and he's like, they didn't ask me for my ID. Like, I could have said I was Emmett Parker and not gotten in trouble. And it's as simple as that. You could go to however many precincts and not show an ID. No one would. They have no idea of knowing. Not only does it verify your face, it also verifies an address, because an ID has an address printed on it. And there has been verified cases, and by verified I mean people went out and verified these cases. Shout out to Letter with Crowder on this one, and showed that bogus addresses people voted from. It cleans up a lot of the issues, and also limiting mail-in ballots and absentee ballots is also a really good idea. It really cleans up and fills in a lot of the loopholes as far as voting goes. But somehow it's oppressive to minorities because they are incapable of showing an ID. Do you understand how racist that is? Yet they're the ones that are saying that just showing an ID to vote is racist. I mean, seriously. And Major League Baseball, in their fit of liberal brilliance, is like, we don't agree with your voting policies, so we are not going to honor you with the prestige of our All-Star Game that approximately 37 people will tune in and watch. The same thing happened with the All-Star Game for basketball in Charlotte a couple years ago, because the arena in Charlotte wouldn't have interspecific or gender neutral bathrooms or something like that. Because this is what's important in society today. You've got to be kidding me. I mean, it's not like we all didn't know where Major League Baseball stood. I mean, as soon as this stuff happened last year and baseball started off its season, everyone was kneeling for the anthem because, justice. I think that's what that means. I don't know. I thought it just meant disrespecting the flag. But apparently I'm not caught up on the lingo. But yeah, Major League Baseball in their fit of brilliance has pulled the All-Star Game from Atlanta, Georgia, because they don't support the voting bill, and they want to make sure that everyone knows they don't support the voting bill, because we want to make sure that Major League Baseball thinks that black people are not able to show their ID at the polls. So keep that in mind. Major League Baseball does not think that black people are able to show their ID at the polls. Yeah, it's voter suppression. They're trying to weed out the vote. It's Jim Crow 2.0, by the way. Yeah, asking people to show an ID, which is readily available, you can get one everywhere. Use an ID to do everything. Is Jim Crow 2.0, by the way. Yeah, didn't know if you heard about that. Yeah, pretty sure Jim Crow was literacy tests and asking 5-question quizzes that poli-sci professors couldn't even answer in 2 minutes. Pretty sure that's what Jim Crow was. I'm pretty sure Jim Crow was asking only black people to take these particular tests. Pretty sure Jim Crow was not telling everybody and their brother to show an ID to cast your ballot, and everyone uses an ID for everything else. God, it's so stupid. Liberals want to claim it's common sense to wear 2 masks outside. Well, it's freaking common sense if you use an ID for everything else that you can show it at the polls. You needed to drive to the polling place. And if it's that hard for black people to get an ID to drive, there are non-driver's license IDs that you can get available. Oh my god. Ugh. So you got Coca-Cola coming out and saying, we are not in support of the voter ID laws, because apparently Coca-Cola's CEO is Indian, so he's very familiar with voter ID. Then there's the Delta CEO saying, because they're based in Georgia too, saying that they don't support the policy. There's been a mass boycott of Delta, but I thought that was just Delta's normal flight attendants. I didn't know they were very popular among the airlines. So people boycotted Delta, and they actually saw a spike in people getting on their planes. Who knew? Honestly. Coca-Cola is not a good beverage anyway, so, I don't know. If people need another reason to hate Coca-Cola other than it just tasting like crap, then there you go. And then the Major League Baseball is on this too. So don't think of this as Major League Baseball taking a stand against Jim Crow 2. Think of it as Major League Baseball doesn't think that half of their players are capable of showing an ID, when I'm pretty sure they have to show an ID to get on the plane that they're taking to their next game. Or at least when they're going home. Oh, and that's even funnier. Delta requires ID to board their plane, but they don't support ID to, vote because, common sense. I don't even know how you say in all seriousness in this, because this is somehow serious. I don't get it. I don't get it. Never will get it. Freaking liberals. That's all I gotta say. Freaking liberals. Get your head out of your freaking ass. Alright, well, that's been RJ Rennie Unhinged episode 9. A little bit of Unhinged in here because, God, I hate stupid people. I really hate stupid people. And a majority of liberals are stupid people. So, yeah, what can I say? Alright, so, everybody have a happy Easter. As I say, I'm filming this on Good Friday, and I'll probably posting this on Good Friday too. Everyone have a happy Easter. Christ has died today, and he will be risen again in 3 days. Thank you, Lord, for that. And I hope everyone has a blessed Easter weekend and a blessed Easter. And I'll see you next time on RJ Rennie Unhinged.